cleared for privacy. As I'm talking, viewer discretion advised. We're using adult language. This is Buddhist psychotherapy. So earlier I said, I'm here with two adults. I can be as young as their son, now giving them advice. I'll be leaving this Saturday, so my time here is very short. Now, when I said attachment theory is, so there's four types of attachment. And the ones that I think most appropriate is called insecure attachment because of what happened, of the details that you shared. And some of the commonalities here, which I've seen before based on my experience and listening, where a birth took place and a birth was unwanted. I've heard that before in other people. And so that does supreme damage to one's consciousness, one's ego, one's sense of worth, self-concept, self-value. And then I'll interwoven the teachings of the Buddha in this session so you all understand a good working philosophy, how Buddhism can help us make sense of our story, the story that we were born with, the story we didn't ask for, and the story that we're going through from the past, the present, moving on forward. So, based upon the childhood history, I was able to detect the insecure attachment, the love part of it, that I don't feel love. And thank God both of you are very transparent and very uniform about what has happened, and particularly Mel in great details, because it helps me, because I don't live with you guys, so I wouldn't know. And to just now trying to reconstruct, like forensic reconstruction about what happened 6 years ago to here, really helps so that I can be surgical precision in my recommendation. So it looks like, all of us, that means me too, all of us dealt with some bad cards in our life. The life that chose us, the life that we didn't choose. And I just want to bring to awareness the teachings on karma, which everybody knows by now. Now we got instant karma, and then you got karma that's been lingering for a while. Instant karma is you punch someone, they might punch you back. And karma that's been lingering is, so we suffer today as a direct result of what we did in our past life, and or in this life, and or multiple past lives, which kind of sucks, because it's like, can't remember what I did, so how is that fair that karma is now biting me in the ass now in such a way? It bites with like cat teeth, because Randy's cat kept on biting my toes, and I'm like, girl, you don't get away from me. You ever see a monk turn to a devil? And because of this, the story of karma that I believe, and the fact that I myself have giving more and taking less, and I'm still suffering till this day, leads me to believe that my weight and debt of karma is yet to be paid off. So even the man that's sitting in front of you, who has affected world change already, still suffers. So when you look at this image and you're like, damn, this man came from Florida, he came from all these walks of life, he caters to teen suicide, he saves our children from jumping off the bridge, and yet he still suffers at the time of this talk. So what makes we think that we don't suffer? And the story of karma is comforting, because lack of a story, we just wonder why, and we're mad at God, and we keep on having this conversation with God, and it's like, why, how, where, and why me? Out of all people, why me? That will cycle through your head viciously. But one of the complete ending of suffering with one's mind is the explanation of karma. If you believe me and if you believe this explanation, it's comforting, because then you are secure in that knowledge and that you can now move on with your life, versus just sitting there and getting mad at God, or trying to write emails to him, or sending letters to Santa Claus and saying, Santa Claus, you need to mediate between me and God, because I still don't understand why I was not loved in the first place. I was rejected, I was this, I was that, all of the I statements, which we all have. I mean, I'm still mad at, or all of us can still be mad at our creator, our universe, star, moon, sky, and rockets. So it seems like all of us were dealt with some bad cards. Knowing that, we have to learn to love ourselves by any and all means and very quickly. And I don't think y'all have done that for yourself. But I'll share a little bit of my story, because hopefully stories inspire, and stories help you all understand the path that I had to take to love myself. And you know, it's not easy being social media monk. It's not easy that I crawl out of the woods and then grabbed a bunch of iPhones and went live to millions of viewers. You know the mean things they say about? They just find dirt, or they just say, God loves you, the religious war, and then, you know, attacking personally and stuff like that. So, and you know, it just rolls off my sleeve, because I have already learned to love myself. I've already accepted who I am and why I chose this religion or philosophy, and stand firm. I have to be Mel in New York, so they couldn't run me over with an 18-wheeler. And they try to run me over with 18-wheeler verbally, abusive speech online. Yeah, Buddha. I mean, they did kill Christ, and then they tried to kill the Buddha. His own cousin, David Datta, tried to kill the Buddha 3 times out of jealousy. So what makes me think I exempt praise and blame in this world? You know? But in 2017, I took a 1-year silent retreat meditation in Gainesville, Florida, where I had very limited contact with people. And at the time of my training, I was still engaged in relationship, but you can still be married and in relationship during your training process. So that you're learning about yourself and you're trying to clear things up. But so the human that I was with, the mother of that human said, you should depart now. That's an order. So Vietnamese moms are quite toxic. Anyone who's watching who's Vietnamese realize that it is like a judge's order. And so I had limited contact with people. My best friend Faisal being one of them, the one that I loved at that moment, at that time. And part of your story was you captured at that moment. This was my state of mind. And one day I picked up the phone and I called, and that human did not pick up. And I was like, are they dead? And I was really convinced something horrible had happened. And the only clue that I had that it didn't happen was it kept on ringing. If someone died after a couple of days, you figure someone would turn off the phone. But it kept ringing, so I realized that I had been rejected. Dejected, rejected, you name it. So during my 1-year trainings, and all this monk stuff fueled based upon my grandmother's passing and the passing of Jacob Hall, my best friend. So I'd already hit rock bottom, was going to be very suicidal, chose this path, now taking on one of the toughest challenge of a monk, which is the silent meditation. So then all these me, mine, I statements to come, and I want you all to now apply it to yourself. Me, mine, I. What did I do to deserve this? This was the person that I loved, and now this person is ripped away from me. Didn't want to leave me and was ripped away from me. The me, mine, I. The me, mine, I will always cause the suffering. The moment we start catching the me, mine, I, notice it will always cause you suffering. That the Buddha taught in the Anatta Lakkhana Sutta. Anatta, the practice of the non-self. Practice of non-self. You can Google that all day, every day. And I sat with that hurt. Oh, that was one hell of a hurt. Because I reflected on all the memories that we had. And part of this conversation today was sex. Sex and relationship intertwined with each other, and the energy that's being exchanged and the memories of that fun compounds attachment. You know, and I think all of us who've had relationships in our lives always reflect on the mountains, the sand, the star rocket, the moons, the laughter, and subsequently the sex. So it was really hard to realize that a human has been ripped away from me, that I gave so much and I invested so much. I gave so much and I invested so much. These are very common themes in any relationships. I invested in this human. Notice how I didn't say he or she or human. We're all going to tie this all together with the word human. And what human is subject to. You as a human, what are you subject to? So I sat there and journaled and meditated and journaled and meditated. It was hot as hell like this, hot. When we had air conditioning in a building where everyone kept to themselves, don't talk, don't look, we had very specific instructions, just eat, keep going. Dealt with the heat again, and so I'm used to this heat. I can live here. I meditated in this heat before. I've walked this heat in circles while doing laps so that we don't just sit all the time. We're digestive, so you don't get constipated. Part of being human. It'll all come back to the humanness, to our bodies. Okay, so so I'm used to this. I'm like, for one, I can't believe I survived it. So now when I see other monks preach, and I'm like, you sound real good right about now. I'm just wondering. I'm just saying so. That's all I'm saying. I'm just wondering if you ever took one of these silent retreats yourself before you start preaching what you preaching, how to love and all these things you preaching. Have you done it? Because I've done it. I did it. And I got a taste of that piece at the end of 2017 in December, and the people talk about nirvana and enlightenment, and it's like so far, ayahuasca, shrooms, LSD, MSD, whatever, LDD, all the big D's, little D's, curvy D's, D's with EDs. And then when I meditated that night from 11 to like 2, between 11 and 2 or 10 to 2, I recounted. I went into now what we call the jhanas. I tasted that glimpse of peace. So heavenly time, 20 minutes of heavenly time. Human time, 4 hours. 4 hours of human time that I tasted nirvana. Tasted. I didn't say I was there long. I tasted it, but I know what peace is. So then later, I think 2018, when I started the TikTok thing, it's no wonder people were so drawn to the energy, because the man had already done his homework. They didn't drawn to the good looks. They didn't drawn to it because I'm Asian. You 1.3 million got the point because this man already did his homework. You can't lie to that many people. Had I not done the work, you can't inspire that many people. Whatever. So learning how to love oneself is important. I think you both are still on that. Still learning about yourself, loving oneself. Because if I challenge you with this question about love, what if she dies? Like that. If I have the power to take her life in the next hour of a heart attack, how would you feel deep down inside? Don't answer, just sit with it. You don't have to answer. If she dies, if I have the power to take her life, if I'm God, and I throw a lightning bolt right now, electrocution in the worst ways, or she steps out of this house and I command a truck to hit her, instant death, closed casket, how would you feel? So these are when we do death meditation, when, how, where, why. We monks, these colors of death. These are the colors of death. And when we meditate on death, is exactly that. Is how will I die, when will I die, and where will I die? And this is why the camera's on me and not on you guys, because what I see in front of me is attachment. The existent, the manifestation, the evidence of attachment, and the weight, gravity, and intensity of that attachment in your human face. But it is a possibility that, you can die in the next hour. Because we still don't know how the body works, do we? My grandmother died in front of an ER doctor. She showed signs of throwing up in the back seat. I looked in the back seat rearview mirror. She's going like this. I've never seen her like that. I'm like, oh shit. Grandma, Northside Hospital right there. Let's go. So before we went, she threw up water out of the car right on that CVS corner of that street. And I said, shit. This is not good. Shit. Well, ordinary day. Grabbed her in the car, go to the north side. Vitals fine. Everything's fine. Doctor's like, she's fine. Things can change. Mom comes. Mom's like, where are you guys? I'm like, Grandma? Mom's right there. She's right there. I'm just going to turn the corner and get her. As soon as I turn that corner, she like both her hands like this and screamed like that. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening? And the ER doctor, young gal, like 30-something-year-old, she's like, so I jumped over there and ripped my grandmother's shirt off. And I'm like, Doc? So they're like, okay, sir, you need to go. You need to go right now. Code blue. And they hit code blue. Things can change. Any one of you can die. It's important that we practice non-attachment throughout this whole process. And meditate on this. The Buddha really wanted you to think about this daily. Daily reflections that I will die. It is certain that I will die. And it is certain that people around me will die. My mom, my dad, my grandmother, my exes, my girlfriend, my boyfriend will in fact die. And quite fairly soon. So about 2 weeks ago, I lost my best friend. Another one. Kyle Corin, of a motorcycle accident. And he was going through it. He was going through it with his divorce. And he was trying to get with another ding-dong. And I think because of so much going on, he got on a motorcycle. You know, when you're on a motorcycle, you feel real free. It's a free spirit. This young lady right here, free spirit. You know what I mean. I used to ride motorcycles too. I used to be just like Mel. Free spirit, don't want to sit alone, don't want to just out and about. And it sucks to sit there and think about death. It really sucks. And sometimes it does hurt a lot. So nobody wants to think about that. We humans were designed to run away from things that are painful. But the Buddha says you have to go through the pain in order to find your answers. And the only way to heal is to go through the pain one last time. And that's what I teach, and that's why we're doing this. It is painful to recount some of these memories and historical past. However, you both are so intelligent humans. You know that about yourself? You are this close to enlightenment. Thin line, not a thick one, a thin one. You are a wind blow away from enlightenment because of your intelligence. And I hope that you are able to do that and can and will do that and make a firm resolve after all of this. I'll tell more about that, but let's go back a little bit about some facts. So, I don't really have to go back so far because you know the why you are this way already, why we are this way. So let's expand more on the self-love. All right, so let's say God damned us, or God's testing us. Let's say God tested you by giving you this life and the narrative in your life. No different than Cain and Abel. No different than things in the Genesis. That's why I asked if you studied the Bible, right? Now it matters. When the holy man start talking about the stories in the Bible. So of course, you ever go through Genesis, all sorts of stories, lying, cheating, killing, stealing, incest in there, and it's like, wow, great. Wow. Y'all got some popcorn around here? It's rough. So what if God gave you this life to test you? How are you going to navigate this? He gave you this life, and he also gave you the Bible. And then there are many other gods too, next door to Jesus Christ. Got the Quran, which is also in this room, and then the Nikayas, which slowly I'm easing you all into the teachings of the Buddha. But we give you these books of instructions on how to navigate around this puzzle of life. Just think about it, right? God put me here, he made me, he can also take me. What he gives, he can also take. He gave you this woman, he can take this woman away from you. He gave you money, he can take it from you. He can take it overnight. What you're blessed with, he can also take. Now you have to ask yourself, okay, all right, well, I'm not going to sit here and feel bad for myself. God wouldn't want me to do that. WWJD. What would Jesus do? What would Jesus want you to do? He would want you to learn about the narrative of your life. Pick yourself back up and move towards victory, victoriously, every day. Our ancestors, our parents, just think about the people that went ahead before us, wouldn't want us to sit there and wallow in sadness about our loneliness, our deprivation, our insecurities, just all the things that we know deep down who we are. They would want us to, all right, well, you were dealt with some bad cards indeed. Now you got to make sense of all of that. Pick yourself back up and be a strong human, a soldier of God. A soldier of God. And proceed forward. Now what the hell am I talking about here, right? You look at, for example, Father Aloysius Schwartz, and he came from poverty, dirt poor, hunger. Then became a father and then served the poor. Matter of fact, he went to a poor country. They were so poor, the stench of poor, he called it home. The stench of poor, he called it home. Father Aloysius Schwartz, all over YouTube over the past 2 decades. Now saint. Now venerable. But think about it. He didn't have a good life. He was a son of God. He had to work with the narrative that he had. So God made him poor, and so his parents. But he made sense of that poverty and went, ordained as a priest, went into more poverty and found joy in that. So my point is, make sense of your suffering. Pick yourself up. Lead the way. By yourself, to yourself. By yourself, to yourself. If another human comes into your life, great. Whatever they do, what they do, they are who they are. We can't change them. And once they leave, great. If they come and use our resources and not give anything back, that's okay too. Because what did Christ teach us about that? Give more, take less. To serve the poor. And if you want to follow Christ, he's right there. Then what did he say? He says, give everything to the poor, and then follow me. In the parallel teachings on both, all about giving. So when we look back at our expectation in this narrative, it's okay if you come and use the couch. It's okay if you come and use this and use that. It's okay when they leave you. I've given more and taken less. Lord, you sent someone that tests my heart. But I responded in a way that you want me to respond, which is I gave more. I gave all that I could within my means, jurisdiction, arena. There's nothing more I could have done as who I am. And as I sit here today telling you all this, I too have to practice this thing. Because one of my chief disciples reverted back to the old ways in the old days. And I expect this individual to exemplify the teachings of the Buddha. That did not happen. The individual is now going back into the self-centeredness of me, my, and I. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, boy, did you know that Ji Dao spent like $40,000 throughout the entire training? Oh, it cost so much money to train a monk. No one ever thought about the food that they eat. Oh my God. Remember the list that Grandma made? Well, I started to do that. Just for fun though. We call that monastic expenditures. And I don't think the student realized the amount of resources dumping in to change their perspective and view in order for them to serve others. But the student is young, 23. What do I expect, right? So I also have to sit here and remind myself, they came, they taught me a lesson as a young teacher. And off they go, and just watch them go. Just watch them fly like a butterfly. And what will be, will be. And so it is. Because if we have expectations, if I can sit here and I can have the expectation of, well, as a leader, we spent this amount of money, the amount of robes, the amount of, God, Lord, how many pictures we've taken, videos we've taken, teachings we've given. You know, I need some more Gatorade. No, not for real. You know, just the amount of the thousands of words expounded and yet still didn't get the point. Expectation costs us suffering. People ask me, Venerable, you're here, what would you like to eat? And I said, anything. We don't have preference. That's a teaching by itself. That sentence alone can liberate a human being. We don't have preferences. But yet when the AC cuts off in here, oh boy, we can have a lot of preferences. Oh, when the butter's not from grass-fed, oh boy, I prefer to have grass-fed, please. Ain't that funny? But ain't that true though? Right? So in the first noble truth, right, the book says, getting what you don't want causes suffering. These are the truth of Buddhism. I want a boyfriend. I want a girlfriend. I want sex. I don't want sex. I want, but you're not going to get what you want, the Buddha would say. And you're like, well, life's going to suck right now. Let me sit with the suckiness right now. Getting something that you don't want, like a flat tire, also sucks. We call that suffering. Suck. Agitation, suffering. Go ahead. Some more adjectives of how life sucks. Agitation. I should be an expert in this by now. Disappointment. Let down, right? That encompasses suffering. Depression, anxiety, lack. Unfulfilling. Right? Okay. So remembering those two things brings so much comfort, because you see, you get in the car and you have a flat tire, or I put you on a boat and the boat started to leak, and you're like, what in the gay hell? What in the actual gay hell? This is a brand new boat. So Jesus and Buddha would stand there and say, did you really think that boats don't leak? What is the true nature of a boat? To leak? You know, the 13-year-old novice that I'm training now, I got that Lifetime brand, little small kayak. There's like this little plug there, and I'm like, oh, well, this too will leak. I'll be damned. That's why they got that plug there, so you can drain the darn thing. And I just bought the I was like, first noble truth. Second noble truth. It was funny. Of course, I got the wrong one, by the way. He's 13, is made for a 6-year-old. He flipped in front of 3 St. Pete police officers in the ocean, and I was like, oh, this is too funny. I'm dead. I died. But it's comforting to know that just having the answer, right? Because without this explanation, we would still keep on wanting, and life would still continue to suck. And we would look 80 in the midst of us being 30 or 40 or 50. It would really suck not having an explanation. Someone did it for us. And the Buddha went ahead and lived life, and then came back and gave us warnings. And he said, listen, in your life, there will be desires. And just know and catch yourself. When you don't get what you want, it's going to suck. And what you do with that will determine whether life will suck even more, or how you can transform that and make fun of it. Which is what I'm doing, making fun of it. We're laughing, right? We're not crying. And we're understanding clearly as they are. Understanding clearly as they are. In the end, the Buddha just wants you to know it is what it is, and it can't be what it ain't. And I think when I sat here today, that she was trying to say that to you. But there was a lack of, I don't want to accept that right now. I still have expectations right now. I think this human here does a good job at communicating. Slow, drawing boundaries, understanding the how, the why, and the what. But I have to be honest to you. I do detect a lot of attachment. And that's okay. And that's why I'm here. That's why we're working through this. And on a daily basis, you have to remind yourself that, we can turn this around. We can say, this ungrateful woman came here, took up my space, used my AC, sinking in my couch, okay, bringing bacteria in my door, putting her feet on this table in front of a monk, while this cup of water is still there. She's going to hell for that one. Or we can say, I'm in the midst of all this. It's not about me. It's about the happiness in this home. And I'm grateful that this human came and the effort that she made to be here to cook for me. Sometimes we don't look at the effort that other people make to be in our lives, to share the sacred space, to be here with you while I'm still alive. To be here with you while I'm still alive. If we look at it that way, then our needs and wants off to the side. And it's just like, darling, one day we're going to die. I'm just glad that you were able to run around me in circles as long as you did. You paid close attention to my jokes. And you realized there was meaning behind the jokes in the home or in the car. There's meaning behind them. A world-class monk doesn't make jokes without meaning. He does it for a reason. And you see, Vasu and I don't know each other that we don't know, which is online. We're like, oh, great, but you took a bunch of pictures with a bunch of dignitaries. I'm still with a bunch of ding-dongs in Florida. Then we got together. Then everything went away. And all I knew was laughter. Because this color reminded me that he's going to die one day. And I'm going to die one day. And could be quite fairly soon. We just don't know the when. So we laughed constant in the car and we cracked jokes. Only, I think the GoPro was going for a while. But it didn't capture the whole entire thing of unholy jokes in the car. Hell, they kick me out of the order if they hear some of the jokes I'd cracked in there with another bhikkhu, for Christ's sake. Madam.
I do want to tell them, that's how much I think of our relationship. Because when I shared it with him, he said, would I like his help? I could have told you no. I said, screw it. And I said, yeah, if she's up for it, and I'm choking, I want to let you know that I'm always looking for ways to help you understand me more. I really dig deep every single time.
You know that. I know I'm the one that has some issues.
I mean, I have issues too, but the caring for you just looks differently, and I care about you. Yeah, I care about you. Thank you.
The definition of attachment is wanting a person to be there for you, with you, and not change. And I don't want that to change. When I defined that for the entire world, it blew up. All these little small teachings I did, it blew up. Because everyone's like, oh my God, now I know what attachment is. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't know what attachment either when I was in the midst of love. Oh, did it hurt. And I think it hurt me so much in the 7 loves that I've had in my life that I didn't want to love. I'm like, okay, all right, time to be a holy man now, because this is really rough. My heart can only be ripped so many times. The left ventricle will be over there. The right ventricle will be over there. The chambers are over there. Can y'all put it back together? Can you sew it back up together? You know what I mean? You understand the depth of that suffering, right? Yeah. Love is such amazing, but when the love is not there, or it rips away from you, or it starts to detach away from you, or the intensity is not the same anymore, and you start to feel that distance, it feels like you're in the Titanic, or like, no, you've already fallen off the Titanic, in the Jack and Rose situation, where it's like, oh, I cry every time when I watch the damn Titanic. Jack and Rose, I love you, Jack, and he sings under, and I'm like, no, that man is going down into the deep. You'll never see him again. Girl, I done lost my shit at my grandmother's funeral when she went into the oven, and I realized, that's it, you're not going to see. I held it so good. up until that point, oh my God, it was like, I beat the ocean by depth of tears. So, I mean, so that's attachment. That's attachment. That's attachment. But we can turn all this around and realize our attachment and the word gratefulness. One thing so simple, but yet so difficult to practice. But that's why we have to write. That's why there's journaling and writing and expressing more. So you love this individual, you're grateful for this individual, but do you say enough of it? Say you love this individual, but do you say enough of it? For those who are married and committed, it's like, you know that. You know, let's go back to the teachings of Christ. Christ asked Peter, Peter, do you love me? And Peter goes, Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. So even if Christ had to ask Peter, other people also ask in their mind when they are in love that the way that they are. But you see, we don't wake up every single day to say, I love you. I'm grateful that you're here with me. I'm grateful that you here spend time with me. Thank you for eating with me. Thank you for praying with me. Thank you for making me smile and laugh. If we were, instead of nitpicking on everything, and then we turn that around and said, I'm grateful for you to do that and stuff like that, it would change the whole dynamic in this house. Now, Vasu, if you ever picked up from Vasu, thank you for everything. He says, thank you for everything.
Even before the conversation, when you're done, when I'm done talking, whoever, he says thank you, and then he goes.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So if there was an ass in the room, that would be me. And if there was an angel in the room, that would be him. That's why I'm here to learn from him, right? Because, you know, I'm the one that's like very clinical, short, concise, straight to the point. You can already tell the temperament of this monk. I'm surprised I'm allowed back here. Yeah. Lynn got the long end of the, Mel got the long end of the stick on the way back down the day before yesterday. I wanted to give her a taste of what today could be about by tracing the past. I just wanted all that compiled emotions in you, work with it, in you, let it test you. Christ is now testing you. A representative of Christ's order is coming down to give you all this mess to work with and think about, because when we're actually doing this, it's all going to come back up. You know, so again, instead of the nitpicking, I can't believe you didn't do this, you didn't do that. We do that. The mind, for some reason, every relationship, we tend to start doing that, start comparing, contrasting, and nitpicking. The hell? It's like, damn, my mind tripping. Where's that ayahuasca shit? You know, a mind's always tripping. It's always ungrateful. The tendency of the mind, the Buddha called it the 5 hindrances. Ill will being one of them. And that's part of ill will and anger, actually. It's like, about everything. The 5 hindrances gives you insight the nature of the mind. But if we just looked at that, through the informed lens of death, through the informed lens of the first noble truth, is that we humans are all subject to birth, old age, disease, decay. Then you realize that if I suffer, then she too suffers. If I suffer, then she too suffers. But what's the point of bickering? We're literally arguing our way to death. And if you left the house with resentment and anger, then someone dies in the home or on the way, you know, she's on the road a lot. So the most dangerous thing you do in a day is drive a car.
Oh yeah, to drive a car. Okay.
Then she gets hit, T-bone, and dies, and then you're here. Or if she have a heart attack and dies, and you're on the road. The last moment y'all had was, damn it, arguing. And then, of course, I've been to so many funerals, it's not even funny. Hundreds of funerals. Hundreds, right here. I started off training in funerals, and I'm like, whoa, wow, very potent. They didn't ease me in. Other monks got it good. They were eased into death. And I was just like chilling there as a 15-year-old. And monk's like, someone died. You want to go? Grab this, put this cloth on. Let's go. And I'm like, oh, George is really dead. You're deader than a doorknob. So through the informed lens of that, you know, and then of course, so hundreds of deaths later, right? And be like, had she known that I loved her, hear that all the time. Had she known I forgave her. You know the amount of years to heal from all that trauma? And the would've, could've, should've, but I still didn't. And then they died. The resentment of that. Oh, shit. Get ready for it. You better put on your seatbelt. Because after that funeral, it's going to take you like anywhere from like 3 years to 8 years recycling in the head. I mean, we already recycled so much crap in our head. Now we got another death in our head. And I really loved her. And had only she known that I loved her before we fought and she died. I'm telling you, recycle that in your head. Look at your own health problems and the possibility of something going wrong. An aneurysm, myocardial infarction, heart attack, thrombosis, anything, veins popping. I mean, there's a million. Look at the medical book. Go to Barnes & Noble. The medical book is this thick. So what does that mean? That means that these are the many things that could happen to you. The possibility of the diseases, bacteria, and viruses that could happen to you. Or you can lose your eyesight, or you can go deaf. Huh? What? Imagine unable to hear, right? People with dementia, their senses start to go, and they stop eating, then they die. So, cause of death of dementia, right? But you see, how come you don't have this in your brain, in your little software? Well, because you don't do the type of work that I do, nor are you in social work or hospital or hospice. So you walking and talking and farting and pooping and laughing and peeing and you're thinking, everything's fine. The review system is fine, so I'm going to be an asshole today. Or be a bee. You know what I mean? I'm going to be a bee today because everything's working fine. Really, you're ungrateful. You forgot all the things that God can take away from you quickly. So every time we look on the news, somebody dies. Lord took them. Lord called them. Lord had agenda for them. He sure damn did. Say your goodbye now, throw your roses. So how do you remind yourself of this? Well, take your behind to the cemetery. Walk around the cemetery. Look at all the dates of birth and dates of death. You have to remind yourself. I'm telling you how to do it. I'm telling you the how now. If you didn't know the how, I'm telling you the how. How to be grateful. We meditate at the cemetery often. I have gone to the great extent to making my students die. I'm like, lay here, white tarp, you can breathe. Some have gone to the extent where they don't even move. So by the time I take the white tarp out, they're like sweat all over. I'm like, you didn't have to take it that far. There's fake funerals that I conduct. I have also jumped into my own casket. The way we live determines the way we die. You live like an asshole, you will die like an asshole. You live like a drug dealer, you will die like a drug dealer. You live in love, beauty, and gratefulness, you will die like Cinderella in the coffin. With the hundreds of deaths I've analyzed, the faces in the coffin. My grandmother looked pissed. She didn't want to go. Jacob Hall looked like a saint when he went because he gave so much. I looked at Jacob in the coffin. I took pictures and videos. I posted them. His mom's like, no. To take it down. I'm like, but you look at him. Would you just look at him? He looks like a saint. So at peace or not, at the moment of death, it's funny. Rigor mortis, post-mortem, I don't know. Well, the funeral director didn't really do a good job at makeup on your face. But the monkeys usually pick it up, whereas they lived a good life equals a good death, or they had resentment or attachment. It shows all in the lines. The wrinkles and like, oh, my grandmother looked pissed. And I'm like, woman, let go. Go. I got you. Go. Just go. Go peaceful. In peace I give you, and my peace I leave you. Damn it. Unfortunately, she in fact did take unfavorable rebirth. So she probably rebirthed into the animal realm. because of that attachment and what she said before she died, which is, I don't want to leave you. And I said, why would you say that? Your vitals are fine. So now with the things that I went through, and you all are older than I am, you can be my mothers in this room. Reflect on all of those things in your life that you went through. And the one thing that Mel said was, I'm changing, I'm constantly changing. I'm willing to chop off my hair, my head, for things to be better. She's evolving. That means you have to evolve too. For who? For you. For your own peace. For your own health. Nothing good happens with attachment lingering in there. And I think people don't understand the danger of attachment, the anger and resentment and the suffering, because it morphs into other health problems and the cancer. So we all have cancer cells. It only takes that one thing to activate one cell, and now becomes a can of whoop ass. Now doctors have to find it and see where it metastasizes and zap it, and it's like, oh crap, it's like the jumping cactus. Oh crap, it's everywhere now. Now you have, from 6 months, now you have 1 month, and then you have 1 week left. So in your little journal and in your little head, if I gave you 720 hours to live, how would you live it? That's a month. That's a month. 720 hours is 1 month.
I would sit at a sunrise every morning.
I know you would. Yeah. And you'd probably go back, find that damn sand, and lay there.
Yep. I would sit at a sunrise every morning. I wouldn't even want to spend it with people, not really. Just, I wouldn't tell nobody, but I would go find the quietest sunrise place.
You know, the one thing as a monk, when people tell me about their loved one dying of cancer or is dead from cancer at the funeral, and I'm like, you know, the good side, I'll see the brighter side of things, even though it's a funeral, and I'm like, you know, at least he had a time frame to know when he was going to clock out, versus the many types of death that's out there. Now, the question of community service and volunteering was also important in this conversation, because you see, the more things you do for others, the less you think about yourself doing God's work. That's why I asked about the volunteering thing, community engagement, community involvement. You see how Mel's out doing things for the churches and stuff. I encourage both of you to go out and serve the community. You'll feel better, you'll be better, and you're doing God's work. And to come back and to see this cross has a whole different meaning. You walk through the door and you realize that, I can't wait to take a shower, but you know what? I did God's work today.
And I know where my issues lie with that.
Because
I have my, or maybe it's resentment. That I spend 40 hours or more a week working, trying to take care of things. And I know Mel says I can't do what she does, but I feel like, what other energy do I have? Because part of what I do in giving in my work is I'm giving to the people I work with. But that's where I'm giving a lot. But sometimes after working, I don't have much else left. Because I'm trying to provide for myself financially. Because I don't have anybody else to depend on financially.
right.
I don't have anywhere else that I could ever go if I didn't have anything. I don't have anywhere I could go.
Right.
So I spend so much time. I did some volunteering with Mel here and there with what she's done through food pantries, but of my own accord, pretty much since COVID, I've been in survival mode to make sure I have a roof over my head, because I don't have anybody to financially help and support.
Yeah.
So I possibly get jealous that just watching somebody else not go to a job, they go and do so much service work all the time because there's no job. And I sit working or in stress of work and taking care of myself and not feeling there's anybody else there to help me to pick me up if I fall. I will be homeless too if I don't have myself. So I used to go to my one church. I tended to start going to hers because I wanted to understand God more. And so then I allowed in that following her church that I stopped pulling away from what I would have done in volunteering.
My hope is that some anxiety is appropriate, true, right, and justified. But yeah, America does scare the crap out of people about a roof over our head and comfort. But in Buddhism, we teach the middle way, which is not extreme of something and not too lazy of something. So self-mortification and it's just extreme desires. And so, you know, you have to look at your finance and see, you know, am I making enough in savings for another day? But even if you do get evicted and get kicked out, you live in the best place on earth for help. Ever been to Laos and Thailand? Oh crap. They're so dirt poor over there, it's not even funny. In this heat, in this type of heat over there. So we also have to look at the word comfort too. And a lawyer in our head. And readjust where we make excuses or what is most important, you know. So the 4F is family, friends, fitness, faith. Family, friends, fitness, faith. I think the 5th one was fiance too. But that's down the road. I think what is it? Friends, family, fitness, faith. I swore there was only 4, and then we were like, what was the 5th F? And my teacher said, well, if everything fails, the other F means what the F. But you have to do all these things. These are the checklists that makes up a happy human in life. I think what's important for both of you at this age and stage in your life as you're working to know yourself is to be grateful, try to resolve some of these quickly. This narrative you can change overnight. You hang on to this. You chose to hang on to this. I think Mel's already forgotten half of it, right? The way how you live, it seems like you've forgotten half of it until it's being recalled again.
Yeah, I put it in good compartments, and as you saw yesterday, the only time I cried when I talk about my dad for doing what he did to my mom. That's the last button that I gotta fix. Other than that, I shared my life while we drove, and it wasn't tears until I said about my dad.
Now, let's talk about enlightenment for a second, because it means different things to different people. Is that the things that we witnessed and went through in our lives, was going through, is going through, and is about to go through even more. So the Buddha said, number 1, life sucks. That means in life there is suffering, the existence of suffering. It's like, okay, we get it. Old age, birth, disease, decay, death, got it. Number 2, because you want stuff, life sucks. And it's like, okay, we got that too. Yes, I wanted sex, I wanted love, I wanted someone to be there for me, got it. Number 3, if you don't want life to suck, stop wanting things. I'm still working on that. Okay? Number 4, the path to peace is following a Noble Eightfold Path. So the most important thing for both of you in the Noble Eightfold Path would be right view, which is to see suffering in yourself and see suffering in each other, Mel and Lynn. See suffering in myself and see suffering in others. That's right view. Then right speech. Well, after right view, then there's right thought, because then after you see that, you're like, okay, I'm going to think about things before I say it. Then we go to right speech. I'm going to say what is beneficial, true, right. Is it true? Is it beneficial? Is it right? And at the timing of this speech, correct. Don't choose at night before people go to sleep and be like, you know what, you didn't take out the trash. That was not under the 4 elements that I teach under right speech. Now, for the things that we saw, so you know, I got to watch a lot of domestic violence in my own life. So I wanted to be a cop because of the domestic violence, because my world was out of control. Because I grew up and I saw domestic violence, things went out of control, and I figured, well, I should become a cop so I could be in control. Then I had like 3 pages of speeding tickets, and Florida Highway Patrol was like, nah, how about you try back in 3 years? You want to give people speeding tickets? You got 3 pages yourself. 3 more years. So I went to college. Okay. So for the things that I witnessed it was traumatizing. And I was suicidal. I went to, CASA took my mom and I in, and then I went to PEMS because I was so suicidal because of the domestic violence that I saw. So on becoming a monk, it's like, okay, well, what's the purpose of becoming a monk? Well, to gain enlightenment. Well, what is enlightenment? Well, so there's these stages that you climb. On the fourth one, you don't come back as a human ever again. And whether that's real or not real, I don't really care. I don't care if God exists. I don't care if Nirvana exists. That sounds really good right about now. The fact that not coming back as a human being again, another round of COVID, another round of what? Think about it. Another round of what? Now think to yourself. I mean, this young lady went through surgeries. Damn, that hurts. Now think about it. See, the first stage of enlightenment is stream entry of sainthood in Buddhism. Trust me, you'll get there one day. Don't worry. Just take it for face value for now. In stream entry, you come back no more than 7 times as a human. Think about coming back 7 more times, woman, of paying bills. What's the name of the electricity bill here? SRP. 7 more lifetimes of SRP. Internet, what's the name of internet here?
Cox. Cox is most of it.
What you just call me?
Cox.
Water bill. How much is your water bill?
It just went up $40 a month, and my Cox just went up $30.
Okay, look at this. She's paying $40 a month.
No, $80.
Oh, $80 for
It
water?
went up $40.
Her water bill is $80 a month. But those crazy people doing that alfalfa.
I know.
See?
Girl, time to go to...
And every apartment pays the same regardless of the number of people in the apartment.
Right.
And
Okay.
yeah.
It's not fair, right. Okay, so then you get to stream entry, and then you have once returner, no returner, and then arahant. So, okay, after the 7 times, if you progress quickly, you can go to 1 more time. Imagine coming back 1 more time as a human. What in the gay hell? 1 more time. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Oh, please don't. Oh, please, by any all means, please don't.
I'm with you.
Please, spare me. So that's what propels us monks to stay straight on the path. Because of that, in the stages of enlightenment. Is it real? I don't care. Sounds real good to me. What's the instructions again? And he gave specific instructions. The one thing about Buddhism is that it gives very specific instructions. There's no if, buts about some of these instructions. Right view, look at the elements. Right thought, right intention, right speech, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. It gave you specific. There's nowhere in there where you're like, I don't really understand what this means. No, Felicia. He made it very clearly. Greed, anger, ignorance. Ignorance of what? The Four Noble Truths. Anger of what? Anger of this, anger. We went into very psychological. That's why in the car I've already prepped you for this. About how analytical we are and how psychological we are. And I did that with you. You were the first victim. And that's why I went very analytical and psychological with you in tracing the past. There's always a past that holds us back. Now you can teach it to Lynn. Hopefully after today you guys are like, I love you. Friends only. I'm grateful for you. You know that. I'm grateful to be here with you. I'm grateful to share time with you. To hear your voice because I can still hear. You know? Look at, when you go out in society, look at all of the types of doctors in society. You have AUD, which is doctors of audiology, ophthalmology. You know, you got doctors of, ODs. You got doctors of divinity. You got medical doctors. You got surgeons. You got Fellowship of American College of Surgeons, FACS, who probably worked on you. Usually they are FACS behind their name. Because it's like, why do we have so many doctors? Oh, well, those are the things that could go wrong, and you could be a victim. You could wind up in that office tomorrow. For a limited special time only. While supplies last. You can wind up in there. So everything I did to you, you all can now help each other through it as friends. Without expectations. Now, with some of the things that was projected earlier, that was really good. That means it's working. So in psychotherapy, every time when people start projecting and emotions and whatever happened back there, I saw it, you pause and you're like, oh hell no, she's not gonna get away with this one. I'm gonna let her have it right now. It came out, and you too, you're trying to like think, calm, Speak slowly, accurately, concisely. You're already practicing right speech without even knowing. Okay? But all these are good. It tells us, we have evidence that the amount of history that you know about each other, that you went through together, and it just kind of sit there. And every time when something happens, it kind of comes out, and it propels you to not be kind because of that history. So y'all have to squash this history. Y'all have to start all over again if y'all want to be friends, and just be friends. Everybody can need a friend in life. And I know it's hard to not get caught up in feelings. But what makes this individual attractive in Buddhism, in Asubha Bhavana, we find the unattractive nature of them in order to destroy the thought of attractiveness to them. So if somebody farts, do whatever, find the unattractive nature of that human. They don't know how to do this. Find it. Just find it. I don't want to give any examples. Just find it. Okay, find the unattractive nature of this human. That way it destroys the sensual pleasures, what we call it. It destroys the sensual pleasures. And it's so intricate how the mind works, is that it just takes that one thing and then it just grows into attachment and controlling and all these other things quickly. How fast the seed of desire spreads in our mind that grows into attachment, and all of a sudden you have now full-blown control. We went from desire, attachment, to now control in a matter of seconds. So the practice I'm giving you requires time for you to condition yourself to be the masters of the mind. That when I want to do something funny with her, I start to find the unattractive nature of that, to squash it. And trust me, I'm a holy man, but sometimes I see other humans, I'm like, damn, she cute. Damn, he cute. Cute face, little waist with a big behind. Ew. But then I'm like, don't touch it. Now, how do I remind myself of somebody who looks attractive, right? Or sexy, or I'm 37. I don't have erectile dysfunction. Girl, everything works just fine. And I want to do what with that human? You down, I'm down, let's do this. We all have that. We all have that. But then I remind myself of the 3 marks of existence. Is that they don't last forever. Sex is not always satisfying. And rarely are they under my control. So in the meditation, you will discover that. Is that, yeah, they're not gonna last forever. So it's like, okay, I want to have sex with her. How long do I think she's going to last to serve my gratifying needs? Number 2, is sex with her always satisfying? Because we all best damn know it's not always satisfying. It is subject to conditions. What Venerable Chan said, conditions, that's key. Conditions, right? Conditions for all of us to come together. Conditions for the right toys. Conditions for the right people, places, things, etc. You name it. Just get creative with it, okay? And rarely are they under your control, which is, hey, hello, I got needs. Can you come over? Because we can do that thing that we do. No, I'm busy right now. I'm with my friend. What the hell you mean I got needs? Go, you don't get your behind over here. Yeah, I kick you out. That's control. So that's the end goal in insight meditation, is to see the 3 marks of existence in anybody and anything. So this fan right here, also subject to impermanence, change. Sometimes it ain't gonna get that cool. Sometimes the level 3 ain't gonna work. And you can't control this. What are you gonna do, yell at it? Keep yelling. Everything makes sense so far?
She actually banged it because this one didn't work for over 2 years almost.
It pissed me off.
We had a big lightning. We had rain and lightning.
Right.
And this one was plugged in, and the surge froze it for a while.
Right.
But now when I came back just 3 months ago here, it was moving. I'm like, how'd you get that to move? What'd you do? Bang it? She said, yeah.
No,
Picked it up and it started working better.
well, keep banging, Lynn.
Because I'm like,
Keep banging.
just dang it. work, or I'm gonna replace you. I'm buying a new one.
I
Because
was
you
so-
need the circulation air. It gets too hot in here. I have thin pane windows.
Yeah.
I was impressed when she told me that. She really blew my mind. I was like, wow, she really did. But she doesn't really get angry or,
Okay.
yeah, very cool.
So you see how the application of Buddhism is so dead on point for the human condition and the situations at hand. This is why I chose Buddhism, you know, and Christ. You know, who gonna tell me different? I can't be Catholic and Christ and Buddhist. You know, nor do I really care what they think of me by now. 10 years as Ajahn. But now you see the clinical aspect of it, and a satisfying story, a fulfilling story that we can understand. Karma, you know, we done did something to somebody, we left somebody, we disowned somebody, we didn't accept them for who they were, so now we are subject to that. Same thing with me. I probably didn't love somebody, or I ripped myself away from them, so someone was ripped away from me. Always, in Buddhist explanation, is always. If someone hit you, if someone rear-ended you, because you rear-ended someone else in your past life, Felicia, stop arguing. That's what happened. Just run with it. Rather than just sitting there and be mad as hell and you weren't paying attention, you was on your phone, and there's many causes and conditions, Felicia. And the more you just do this, the more suffering it causes you. Okay? So I hope that with now I'm here with you guys 3 days. Thursday, Friday, and then now Saturday morning I'm leaving to the airport.
You got your ticket already?
Oh yeah, my dad quick. When I call daddy, I'ma call my daddy. I'ma call my daddy.
Turn it off.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. I'll tell you exactly right now. Put my name in his mail. I would hope so. Damn, that ticket was $340 for one way to Florida.
Right.
Well, I better pay my daddy back before I get kicked out. But I am leaving at 6 a.m.
Okay.
You
can't.
Well, there's no resources.
Yeah. Lynn said that 1 month could stay here. Well, then you gotta be it.
No, I have. So, well, here's the deal. I've already thought about all of this. I've already thought about your offer. I've already thought about Vasu's offer with AFN. I've already thought about, look, and I have a mouth. And usually when you have a mouth, you can use it. And then people typically say yes. When the holy man says, I'm dying, I'm suffering, I need a place to stay, I can't walk, I'm going to die in the heat, blah, blah, blah. I can play that game. But I have pending cases that I have to complete and finish in Florida, in addition to transportation. And right now, students, you guys are students. I love you, moms, okay? Mommy Mel, Mommy Lynn. But I don't want to be, I'm always going to be there for you. Everybody else can die, I might not die that quick, but I'm always going to be there on the phone. You can always call me anytime, and I'll counsel you all.
Yeah, turn that off.
No, not yet, because I'm not done yet. I don't want to be a burden on, number one, people's finance. Now, yesterday, it was weird yesterday. Randy and Amani came, and they're like eating in the kitchen in the dark, and I'm like, did y'all evolve into like aliens and while I was away in Florida? Because this is weird. Can you turn on the light? I don't know. They were very conservative about the light. I called Randy's mom about the tag on the car, and so she blew up his phone. She is a champion warrior. Right now, that tag is illegal. So if I get picked up, somebody bail me out of Phoenix jail, because apparently he needs to put a new tag on there.
He got in trouble by his mom.
Whatever. But the fact that they were so conservative with the electricity, or so I think, I'm going to make a guess. I'm going to assume. I'm going to do what ACA told me not to do. So I'm like, okay. And then, so we have this conversation. He goes in the kitchen, he eats. I'm still trying to gauge them. I haven't spent a lot of time with them to gauge. Y'all weird. Let me dispel the alarm. Okay, they cute and weird. But then he's like, wasn't sure how long you're gonna stay. You're here on a one-way ticket. So you can stay till Friday. You can use the car until then. But Vietnamese people are very considerate. We don't want to be a burden. And usually I always have something to give rather than take. And now I feel like I'm just taking. So I was just like, okay. Like I even feel, and then last night I told his wife, I said, and I didn't mean it this way. I said, yeah, what I meant to say was, because I was tired and scared of them, and I meant to say that I was going to leave the house early and remain absent while she's home, because a monk and a woman in closed confined space is not against our rules. So, but I didn't get to comprehensively say that, and she's like, I'll definitely hide from you. So now I just put on more suffering on her psyche. So I dispelled that alarm this morning. I'm like, oh shit, I should just shut up. But I just don't. Right now, the heat is the way that it is. I'm walking into Randy's life while he's working, while you guys are sorting things out. I don't want to be a burden. It's always my nature to be that. And I wish I could do more for Mel, but I just don't have the resources in my capacity. When I went to Vietnam, the student named Hung, he was with another venerable, but I went and met up with two venerables, gave my respect, and this student just sat there and started listening to me, then gravitated towards me. Then I'm like, okay, can you help me out with a ride? He gives me a ride, and I find out he doesn't have a job. But I had resources, I had money, so I started giving him money, and he says, oh my God, you are a homeless beggar, and you're giving me money. And I'm like, stop yourself right there and then. I have resources. The Buddha taught me to give more and take less. This is a holy order. The holy order is you have to take what I give you. And the Buddha also says you cannot refuse what's being given. So I had to put that on him. But, I come across individuals who are in the most neediest time. And if I can't make it better, well, obviously don't make it worse. So Venerable need to get back on the plane and go. Yeah. Okay, well, they want me to go offline now. So if I get kidnapped, please call 1-800 and call your local FBI field office. I'll take it. Thank you all. I hope you all learned a lot from today. But this summarizes pretty much everything. I don't think that I have anything else to cover before I go off. Yeah, I think I was quite comprehensive. And hopefully this was effective for everyone. Oh, here we go. I forgot one thing. That's why I wrote it down. So hopefully you both look at your pride and your ego. There's pride and ego in everybody about our needs and wants, right? Our sense of self-worth, our sense of self-value. It's our mind is weird because in Buddhism we use the mind to fix the mind. So we're using the one thing that creates a lot of problem, and then we're fixing it. What the hell, right? So when I say pride and ego, everyone's got it. And for the many things that people do to us, it compounds our pride and ego because it's like, you did that to me. I can't believe you did that to me. Why would you do that to someone like me? See how we get all that twisted up in our head? But that is like everyone. When they do it to me, when they call me names on Facebook, Twitter, whatever, you name it, right? And I'm like, really? But of course I may get fun in my head. I don't wallow in my sadness. And I'm like, you're bashing on a homeless beggar that caters to student suicide. So you're talking trash to a man that doesn't charge money, cannot ask anything but a cup of water. And then you feel good about yourself, right? Going home at night, realizing that you're bashing somebody online who helps our children not jump off a cliff. And the question is, can you do that? I can do your job. Can you do my job? But go home and think about that. So anyway, we do that, right? Why would you do that to someone like me? So hopefully both of you go into the practice of the non-self, where we ask ourselves and meditate on, who exactly do I think I am? I'm just human. I'm just a visitor. And we squash that ego quickly when we realize that I'm just human, I'm just a visitor, meaning you're visiting, you're not going to be here forever. Ain't none here belong to you. It doesn't belong to you. And when was the last time any one of you saw a U-Haul behind a hearse? Boy, that'd be the damn day, huh? When you see a U-Haul behind a hearse. It better not be in direct alignment going to the same place. Can you imagine the coffin and they're dumping the U-Haul behind the You think Sarah gonna take that with her? She gonna enjoy that Gatorade with her in heaven, right? That D-colored flawless diamond, right? She going to twinkle twinkle little star with Jesus, right up there? No. So, who do we think we actually really are? You know. Yeah, I do hold multiple titles, venerable, Ajahn, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, you've sat with me.
Can you say it? Say it again?
Venerable?
Venerable.
Venerable.
Yeah, it's okay. You can call me anything.
I told I couldn't pronounce it.
So, but you sat with me in front of elders. Mel got to see so many things that humans don't get to see in a matter of days.
I'm not surprised.
So I go there and they offer me food first, and I'm sitting with indigenous Native American Indians, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm looking at their faces, their wrinkles, their lines, and I'm like, they've gone through a lot. And then they're offering me to go first. I'm like, no, I'm just a baby in here. I like to yield the floor to elders. Then she saw somebody disrespect me in that same very room when they tried to give me their business card and threw it like it was
Here you go.
to the elder of the elders. And then I explained to Mel in the car after I thought about everything. That's how long it took me to think.
I already knew I didn't like it.
But to sit there and explain to you that, Mel, did you realize, just for fun, Mel, just for educational purposes, because I still think I am nothing. I am nothing, but I do represent the school of the elders of the elders. We are the elders of any elders in the world. We've 2,600 years old. And here's this woman that just preached about respect. And watch what you say and do. Pulled out her business card and just threw it at me. And then respond to Mel in a way where Mel says, well, you can write it down. And she said,
yeah, I asked her, I said, can I have a piece of paper?
Oh, I died.
So he can write down his information. She says, well, it's only a piece of paper, I'm going to lose it. I was really behaved. And I'm thinking in my head, you just threw your business card and said it was smaller. And that's going in the garbage.
All right. So anyway, so that's that. There's this book called Nonviolent Communication by Marsha Rosenberg. Nonviolent Communication by Marsha Rosenberg. Rosenberg, something like that. It'll come up. Okay. And that will help you all learn the type of communication skills that you've already honed in on. Because sometimes it's not what we say, it's how we say it. And the choice of adjectives, noun, pronouns, you name it, that could really egg on the other person's ego. If we got an ego, they also have an ego. And try to change the story and narrative of your life. We have to try to really get over ourselves, just moving past all of this. We can't hang on to it anymore. The one thing that I paid attention was the stories of your exes in great details. In great details. You all know now that when I sit and I chant, I forget words in the chanting. Sometimes I forget a lot of things. I'm very forgetful. You know why? Because that's the point of Buddhism, is to let go. And I've let go of my story, my past, my exes. And even the Buddha says, let go of the teachings. It's just a raft. It gets you from point A to point B. From point A to point B, which is enlightenment. And once you've reached enlightenment, let go of everything. And I used to watch YouTube channels of senior monks do the Iti Piso, Bhagawa, and then they do the Supatipano, especially Supatipano. Supatipano, Bhagavato, Asawa Kasangho, Uchupatipano, Bhagavato, Asawa Kasangho, and then they would like miss a word, and then they would chuckle. And then the entire young monks in the back is giggling. And now I'm doing it, and I'm like, oh God. Now I understand why they do it, because these people have graduated the teachings, and now they've let go. So I can't, because I wanted to let go. So of course I want to forget. And it's liberating to forget. If there's parts of your memory that you want to forget, you can.
Come.
Stop hanging on to it. And every day we let go, and every day I'm new again. I'm new. That part of manifestation and affirmation. And that's why I say there's something called narrative exposure therapy. Anyone who journals get past through this quite fairly quickly, because they know about their past. They realize no one can understand their past that they can. So they have a conversation with themselves in the journal. Dear journal, this is how I grew up. This is how young I could remember. This is what happened to my family. This is what happened to me. I was abused. I was addicted. I was traumatized. Then they close the journal and it's done. They don't hang on to it anymore because they have reduced their thought and feelings down to writing. Amazing in paper, and it's done. And once I've done that in 2017, we call that the practice of dependent origination, the links of influence. This is because that is, and that is because this is. If it wasn't for this, then how can it came to that? If it wasn't that, then it would have been this. The links of influence. Each link causes you to feel this way and behave this way. And because it was left unchecked and you never examined it, now you got into where you are today with the attachment that you have to this individual. It's very liberating, the methods that the Buddha gave us to use. So like I said, you can change the story. I did it, it can be done. But once again, Venerable Chan said this himself in Vietnamese. He says, Westerners, they just hang on to things. They can't accept. They got to know the why. And analyze it again. Are you done asking the why? Because asking the why reinforces the hanging on to. And you're still not secure with the knowledge of that story.
So how do you understand it? How do you seek to understand and improve?
With the evidence that you already have. With the evidence that you already have and with the explanation of karma, then leave it as that. And don't trace anymore because you're wasting your time. That's it. Like the one thing about me was controlling and anger, right? So I was very controlling and I was very angry in my relationships. See? Evidence, Christina. After 3 people told me that you're controlling and you're angry, I was like, well, maybe it's not these 3 people that don't know each other. Maybe it's me. For a man to say that, it's very hard. So I picked up cognitive behavioral therapy and tried to go through it. But then it was still pressing. But then I'm like, but I still don't know where this anger came from. So I did what I just told you. I would trace back as young as I could, and I said, Dear Journal, I think I remember at age 6 or 7 in Vietnam that my father was very angry. And this is where the start of it is. And then on the subject and study of anger is that not everyone have a perfect brain. The smarter you are, the more quick to anger you are. Because you figure things out quicker than other people. So you're frustrated that they can't figure this out as fast as you can. You're able to draw conclusions as fast, comparable to them. That's why when you drive on the road and you're like, Karen, move. Well, Karen can't move right now because she's still processing. What? The plants on the ground, the tree, the star, moon, sky, and rocket, she can't. You're out, your need for speed. Karen's still trying to figure out who God is. So what the Lord gives, he takes, and what he takes, he gives. He makes you really smart. He also makes you very angry. What he gives, he takes. What he takes, he gives. Okay, with that explanation, run with it. And be secure in that. And stop digging in the past of more. Why? Well, then if I'm angry because my dad was angry, then why was he angry? Well, because he got it from Grandpa. Because Grandpa you already heard about the story of my Grandpa. High expectations. It went down the whole. She got to meet Venerable Chan that was best friend with my uncle. What are the chances of that? A bald-headed monk from Florida, now here in Arizona, meeting a most venerable that went to school with his uncle. Okay? So it's like I already know the why. So I've already owned my family story before Venerable Chan went through it again. And you see no attachment to my uncle. You saw no attachment. You saw responsibility. And to hold him responsible for what he did to himself. And mind you, Uncle Anthony Wiles, to me, I loved him. I still do. To no forgivable end. Because he was the one that taught me how to drive. We're drivers. 13 years old. He's like, you got a driver license? I don't know what the hell he was thinking. I was 13. I said, yeah. He's like, come over here and drive. At 13. I would even say 12. And I watched all that, right? How to do all that at 12. That's how smart I was. I was 12. I was a mania, Tasmanian devil. I drove from that bridge over there. Me trying to grow up, be a kid, he would like play with me. And I'm like, he's like, come here. I have a secret to tell you. Of course, kids love secrets. He would like, I don't know, bite my ear when I got close enough. I shared that.
Yeah.
You know, and then to watch this man go downhill my entire life in America, 30 years, I watched Uncle Anthony go downhill from a hero to a hero again. Hillsborough County Moral Courage Award. He did volunteer work, helped refugees, didn't charge money. It's no wonder why I give more and take less in my life, because I get to watch these heroes unfold. But when it came down to responsibility of his own mind, he failed to heed the advice of the Buddha. You failed. You played a little too long. You played a little too hard. You did not open those books. You did not consult your friend who was the most venerable. You did not consult the office of the wise. So I left it as that, and I was secure in that knowledge. And I said, you know what? I love. You know that I love you. Do you love me? Lord, you know that I love you. Uncle, you know that I love you. You know everything. And I left it as that. But life is about responsibility, and so is Lord Buddha and Lord Christ will tell you life's all about responsibility. Leave it behind, move on. Can't attach on to her, to him, to anybody, not even to me. You've got to be responsible for your salvation and enlightenment. Okay? All right, lastly, the precepts. All right? So, there were some of these examples our most seniors gave us, and I was like, that's really easy to remember. The precept, which is, I undertake the training to refrain from killing, stealing, lying, sexual misconduct, and intoxicating substance. And it's like, what does the precepts mean? So Venerable Jayasaro broke it down into small details for us. And he says, well, the precepts just means that you promise to each other. You promise to yourself. In the most honest way that, you know, so let's take the sexual misconduct part of it, okay? The Kame Sumita Jara Veramani Sikha Patang Samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from sexual misconduct. And people are like asking us, like, what does that mean, sexual misconduct? Well, number one, don't rape nobody. You know, and they're like, well, what about multiple partners? It's like, well, as long as everything is consensual, then it's fair game. But the example our most seniors gave us in the most human sense ever was, let's say in a committed relationship standpoint, I love you, you know that I love you, but you know sometimes I have these fantasies. Yeah, I do find other women attractive. Yeah, I do find other men attractive. But I promise you I will never act on it. So we call these precepts the gift of safety. The gift of safety. Yeah, you know, I get angry sometimes, and sometimes I really want to choke you. And that's honest. You know, that's honest in any relationship. Yeah, I love you, you know that. But sometimes I really want to choke you. Sometimes I really want to hit you. But just know that I promise you, Venerable Jayasaro said, I promise you, I can never act on it. And I will never act on it. So it's a very honest communication type deal. So I hope that one day you all would want to take the precept, okay? It's in your books. And give that gift of safety, because it ensures the boundary between both of you about anger, about sexual promiscuity or sexual desires, perhaps. I'm pretty sure there's no problem with killing here, no problem with stealing here, but the gifts of safety ensure that to yourself, safety to yourself, safety for other people, and to know that she's leaving the door, that she took these vows, and that everyone upholds. That's why Buddhists are really chill and they feel very safe with each other, because it's a code of conduct that we all took. And it's very honest. It's like, yeah, I do get angry, but I'm not going to hit you. And we live with hundreds of other monastics that drive us crazy. You know, there's oops once in a while, but it reduces the chance of violence. And it ensures the gift of safety. And I think that's perennial for you, salient for you, is safety. You know, and I like to see what I like. I think she can take care of herself. She's demonstrated that. But what I wanted to see for you is an independence and autonomy, and more, you know, cultivating more of that independence, autonomy, and a little bit of toughness, instilling responsibility, instilling, you're a tough cookie. We know you have it. We both know you have it. And you gotta stand strong on your own by yourself, and you have to take care of your body and your mind. Our religious practice in Buddhism is body and mind. So you gotta take care of your mind so you don't fall back into the trap of everything we have described. The what, okay, I'm giving you the how. And take care of your body, because if you have $1 million, no way you can pay me to take that sickness away from you. Even if I was shaman or ayahuasca or shrooms, you have cancer, no one can take that from you. Steve Jobs had cancer. With the billions of dollars he got, who can he pay to take that away from him? He's deader than a doorknob. So you must take care of your body at any and all costs. No matter how you feel shitty, crappy in a day, you got to get out and walk, sweat, push yourself to the limit. Okay? You only got one life to live. If you live it well, you're golden. So live it well. You know, good life equals a good death, and that's what I teach. Is living the good life. So with that being said, and before your request of deactivating live, I think that is now comprehensive review of my recommendations for both of you, as you will go back to this recording down the road to remind yourself over and over again, because the human's job is to forget. That's the number one we're very good at, is to forget. And that's why people fall back into attachment, love, control, and thinking that things will last forever. Because once I leave, it's like, I'm fine now. I'm not going to die. I'm not going to have health problems. Yeah, okay. So we are the office of the fools, right? We came, gave you golden teachings, and then we're wrong, right? Prove us wrong. That's your job, is to prove me wrong. So just remember that we will always forget. And I forget, nonetheless, you guys. So that's why we write it down. And we need to have a system to remind us always. And that's why Mel was given a Buddhist bag and a Buddha statue and even a bigger Buddha statue in the car now, so that it reminds you. And it's no wonder why we have so many monasteries to remind. That's why people go there to bow and give respect to the Buddha, because of the teachings he left for us. So anyone that goes there, they review themselves, just like I'm saying now. A whole system of review of the teaching. 84,000 teachings, the Four Noble Truths, compressed into the Four Noble Truths. So they can review their attachment, desire. So when they go to the temple, they renew themselves. Let go, damn it, let go. Less is more, less is more.
Thank you.
Any
I'm
questions?
Go back to this
yes,
lot.
yeah. So any questions, any clarifications? Because I know that was a lot to take in.
That was a lot. But I heard it. And I feel it. And I know what I need to do.
And just be grateful. I think proceeding on forward, moving forward, we already know the what, and the why. Proceeding on forward, I think when you look at each other, just look at two beautiful human beings who are smart, intelligent, gone through a lot. Karma pooped on you. Karma pooped on me. And it's like, great, now we got to work with what we got, with the people that we have and the resources available to us. And you guys still mobile, can still walk, talk, laugh, and just enjoy it. Enjoy what this life can afford for you, is affording for you, with the remaining balance that you have left as a human. You ain't different than the tomato soup can in the closet that has an expiration date, and we just don't know that date. And to see suffering in you and in her and in her and in you, and then the foolish things that you've done and she's done that you've done, and what the foolish things that I've done was out of pure ignorance. Idiots. We're idiots. We know not what we do. So never tired of asking for forgiveness, and never tired of forgiving. And y'all can say it now. I forgive you for all the mistakes you've done in this house. And I forgive myself, and I ask for your forgiveness for anything that I've done. At the end of training, from a senior teacher to a small student or teacher-student relationship, the most beautiful thing in this tradition is that they both ask for each other's forgiveness. and the teacher talks to the student and says, well, number one, before becoming students, they have already promised to be each other's burdens. But just be a good burden. May I be your burden? They ask each other. And so the teacher is now the student's burden and vice versa, but be a good burden. So be a good burden to one another. And at the conclusion of the apprenticeship of 5 years, the teacher says, okay, so all this past 5 years, there are things where I have said that was probably not wholesome, probably mean to you, so I ask for your forgiveness. And it's vice versa. And the student asks the same thing. Because there are stories in the teachings where the student supersedes the teacher. The student becomes a saint before the teacher. Yeah, and an offense made to a saint, not good. No less than 500 rebirths. 500 times of electricity bill. 500 lifetimes of electricity bill. So anyway, so that just encompasses the teachings on Christ, on forgiveness, and how we too also adopt that forgiving one another. But yeah, I'd like to conclude the live session. Thank you all for joining us, and we're going to have some private conversations hereafter. Okay.